At the moment in the Premier League, there are several world-class managers. Klopp, Mourinho and Guardiola, as well as Maurizio Pochettino and Antonio Conte. However, not every manager has had success in the Premier League. Here are the 10 worst managers that have ever been in the Premier League. This list only includes permanent managers and is based on their points per game ratio. I hope you love the video. Number 10, Brian Laws, Burnley, games 18, points 10, points per game 0.56. Brian Laws was appointed manager of Burnley in 2010 after Owen Coyle joined Bolton Wanderers. Laws' reign at Burnley in the Premier League was a complete disaster, losing 14 of their final 18 games, leading them from mid-table safety to the relegation zone, getting the Clarets relegated just 4 months after taking over. Number 9, Howard Wilkinson, Sunderland, games 20, points 11, points per game 0.55. Wilkinson joined Sunderland in October with just 2 wins from their opening 9 games, replacing Peter Reid. However, things did not work out how Sunderland would have hoped. Wilkinson won just 2 Premier League games before getting sacked in March with no wins from his last 11 games. Sunderland got relegated that season with then the lowest points ever total, with just 19, 25 away from safety. Number 8, Sammy Lee Bolton, games 11, points 6, points per game 0.55. Sammy Lee is known for being Sam Allardyce's assistant everywhere he goes, but he also had a spell as manager. After having 2 years at Bolton as Big Sam's assistant, Sammy Lee took full control of Bolton in April 2007. Lee struggled to adapt to his role as manager, winning just 1 of his 11 games in charge, getting sacked 3 months into the season. Lee has gone on to be a part of the coaching staff at Liverpool, Everton and Crystal Palace. 7. Roy McFarland Bolton, games 22, points 10, points per game 0.45. Roy McFarland spent a lot longer at the club than most people on this list so far. McFarland had 22 games in Bolton's first season back into the Premier League. McFarland won just 2 of those games, drawing 4, getting sacked in January. Colin Todd took over and won another 6 games, but couldn't stop Bolton being relegated, finishing bottom of the league. Number 6, Alan Pardew, West Brom, games 18, points 8, points per game 0.44. This is the most recent on this list. Alan Pardew was appointed manager of the Baggies on the 29th of November, with the club in 17th place after sacking Tony Pulis. It took Alan Pardew 9 games to finally get his first win as West Brom manager in a 2-0 win against Brighton. After this, Alan Pardew would only gain another point with the club, losing their final last 8 games. After this, Pardew only gained another point with the club, losing their last 8 games under Pardew, leading to his eventual sacking. Number 5, Billy Davies, Derby, games 14, points 6, points per game 0.43. Billy Davies got Derby promoted back to the top flight in 2007 through the playoffs. Davies had a bad start to the season, losing 4 of their opening 5 games. On the 17th of September, Derby would win their first and only game in the Premier League that season. Derby under Davies picked up just 2 points after that, leading to his dismissal in November of that year. Number 4, Terry Connor, Wolves, games 13, points 4, points per game 0.31. Terry Connor spent 13 years as part of Wolves' coaching staff, both as a coach and assistant manager to Mick McCarthy, but all that changed in 2012. McCarthy was sacked in February of 2012 after losing to rivals West Brom 5-1 at Molineux. Terry Connor was the man who replaced him after seemingly not being able to find anyone else. Terry Connor joined a select few managers with the record of never gaining a victory as manager, drawing 5 games. Connor has since been at Ipswich as assistant manager to Mick McCarthy. And speaking of Mick, number 3, Mick McCarthy, Sunderland, games 37, points 10, points per game 0.27. This one was strangely over 2 different seasons. Mick took over at Sunderland in 2003 from Howard Wilkinson for Sunderland's final 9 games, lost every single one of them. of the previously mentioned side that finished with just 19 points. McCarthy got Sunderland promoted in 2005 with a huge 94 points, winning the championship title. This time, Mick McCarthy had 28 games at Sunderland, winning just 2 games in that time, along with 4 draws. Mick was sacked in February and got relegated with just 15 points, a new low. Number 2, Paul Jewell, Derby. Games 34, points 5, points per game 0.21. Jewell, like Terry Connor, failed to gain a victory in his time in charge. Jewell was appointed manager of Derby in November, replacing Billy Davis, but managed to do even worse. Jewell, in his time in charge of the Rams, gained 5 points, 1 less than Davis. Derby accumulated just 11 points that season with only 1 victory, the worst the Premier League has ever seen. And number 1, Frank de Boer, Crystal Palace, games 4, points 0, and points per game is also 0. Frank de Boer failed to gain a single point as manager of Crystal Palace, as well as failing to find a net as well. De Boer was manager of Crystal Palace for just 4 games before being sacked, with the fewest amount of games of any manager has ever faced in the Premier League. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe down below for more content like this. I am Mike, and I will see you soon.